the champagne's raining on your window, and you're all alone. Dream house built inside a snow.
Ever since I was a kid, when I sat down at the piano and started playing, it was just suddenly a very isolated world around me, and it was almost like all noise just disappeared as soon as I started hearing the piano or started singing. So music is definitely some way for me to really be in contact with the present. Dance was a very good way for me to get a lot of energy out, because I was a very energetic child, and I found it very hard to concentrate and sit still for long periods of time. So it was very much a way also for me to get all my nervous energy out, because I had and still have like quite a lot of nervous energy. Like if it's too calm, I get anxious. So when I do something physical, when I am in touch with my body, whether it's singing or dancing, I kind of like get to this zero where things can relax a little bit. I was definitely very focused on becoming a ballet dancer, and I was very ambitious as a child. I think I've always been a high achiever. If I start doing something, I want to be really good at it, and I'm highly critical of myself. And in dance, it can be challenging because there is a very clear ideal of what is right and what is wrong, particularly in ballet, which was what I started out doing. And at some point, that strive for perfection started boring me a little bit. It wasn't like the doctors told me that I couldn't dance anymore and then I just accepted it. You know, it was a long period of acceptance and exploring ways to get back to it or get around it, or like it was very hard for me to realize that your will isn't enough. It isn't the only thing it takes. You know, you can't just like want something so bad that it can happen. Sometimes things just can't happen the way you want it, and that is very hard to accept, particularly when you're very young and think that you're immortal and some bad things will never happen to me. I was 18 at the time, so it took me a long time to realize that I have to let it go. I can't keep forcing this. And I think the moment that I realized that it was that I had to put it behind me was when I didn't enjoy it anymore. I didn't enjoy the fight, and I didn't take pride in it anymore. Like for a long time I took pride in fighting because I'm a survivor, you know? And at some point it was just like, this is not even, I'm not even proud of this anymore. What always bothered me about music the way I knew it, which was a very specific part of music, which is classical music. It's a completely different set of rules than from pop and rock and all that. But I grew up in a very classical home. And it bothered me that you had to sit still. It bothered me that you couldn't sing along. It bothered me that you had to clap at certain points in the set, and you couldn't clap in between a series of aries or whatever it was. It irritated me, and I didn't understand those rules. I think that was the reason why I took probably a distance for becoming a musician when I was very young, and I took a very conscious choice of becoming a dancer and not a musician, although I loved singing and I loved playing. It wasn't until much later when I found out that you don't have to follow those rules, and there were many other ways of finding my place in music and, you know, play by my own rules. It wasn't a very conscious, like, now I'm gonna sit down and become a musician. It wasn't something that I knew was happening. It was simply a way of keeping my mind occupied and my feelings tied together so that I wouldn't fly away, because I felt at that time when I lost dance, I felt like my anchor had just floated away. Like I felt completely like there was no gravity, and I could just fly away and disappear. So I needed something to tie my feelings and my thoughts together. And music is a very emotional language, and it's also it has the power of abstraction that words doesn't have the same way, because you can express a lot of emotions in a melody without saying exactly this is how it is, you know. So I just started making melodies, and I started slowly putting words on them, and it became a way for me to get through that period, because I was very, very kind of depressed. You know, for a long time I didn't find joy in anything else. I remember this area very clearly because it kind of like defined my life ever since. I remember it as being full of hope and full of excitement, and most importantly, it was a very relieving time, because I had, for the first time in my life, I experienced not having any pressure on me, no expectations, because I was the girl that everyone was talking about. Oh, I feel so sad for her, and she lost a big dream, and I hope she will get a job in a cafe or something. Like, people had absolutely no expectations for me, and they were just happy I was functioning. So I had a lot of freedom suddenly that I'd never had as a dancer, because people always expected me to get the part, get in the company, you know. So I was very, I was playful, and when people called me up and asked me if I wanted to meet up, I could say yes for the first time, you know. And when my whole life it's been like, yeah, December 28th, I'll have 2 hours, you know. So for the first time, I got like a very social life, and I just had a lot of freedom. I started experimenting, and I started picking out things that were my surroundings, you know. I started taking what I had, and I had never trained in a very classical way. I didn't know how to play the violin. I didn't know how to play in like a traditional sense, but I knew how to speak the language of music, because I had participated with my voice, and I had been all around it for my whole life. So I simply just took like a jar of marmalade and started shaking it, or like took a lot of pins and dropped them on the floor and recorded everything that was my surroundings at the time. And those became my first instruments. I simply just started making sounds of my life. And then slowly I got the courage to start exploring traditional instruments like the piano, that I play almost every day. Something that I would like or would make me happy if people gave a lesson is probably the lyrics. Because I take a lot of thought into lyrics, and sometimes because some of my big songs have like an optimistic sounding vibe. There's like lots of hope in the sound of my music. Sometimes the lyrics have a darker, more heavy message, and I think sometimes if you just listen with your ear, you will just hear all the brightness. But if you actually read my lyrics, a lot of people get surprised what I'm actually singing about. So I'm definitely not just singing about love and peace and harmony.
We're going in love. Tell me where we ever land. Longing to return to somewhere I know, something quite familiar. Every machine.
I think it's kind of like the obsessive compulsive disorder in me. Like I have very systematic ways of seeing things and hearing things, and I get calm whenever I'm allowed to be overly extreme, and put things into order in a system that I understand. And I'm like that with music as well. Whenever I get things in a certain way, and it's very often like a pattern. I feel like the way I make music and the way I observe my surroundings are very much in a pattern. I have a constant battle in between complete freedom, playfulness, and fascination with rules and perfection and achieving. Like I have a constant fight in between those things. And I always balance in between, and sometimes I'm more here and sometimes I'm more there. But I've never felt like I sacrificed my vision to reach wide. I've never felt like that. But I do have a strong urge to please people. And I love making people happy. And sometimes, it's very rewarding when you play in a room full of people and they smile all over their faces and they sing along and they jump. And sometimes it's very tempting to give in to giving them that. I never try to be an artist. Like I don't think I'll have to sound like an artist. I don't think that way about myself. I just think that I want to stay true to myself. And in whatever category people want to put that, that's up to them. But as long as I'm always true to who I am in my music, then that's kind of like the goal, and then people can judge it from there. But I do agree with him that independence is very important, and not, let other people influence your decisions. At least trust a very few people and have them to push against.
Flying over mountains higher every day. I'm trying to keep up. Trying to match your gait, while you are gaining height and fading into gray, and I wait.
I'm definitely an ant. I've always been working hard, and I love working hard. And I have no other option because it's just how I am, and everyone is different. But I don't see a lot of people getting to the top without working hard. Actually, I don't know any. And I think more than anything, it's about discipline and insisting on what it is that you want to get across, and keep insisting, because eventually people will know that you're serious about it. I think if you can see things how they are and never see it for less than it is or for more than it is, I think that's a very good thing, to be aware of the present in a way. That don't let people tell you you're a superstar and take it in, and don't let people tell you that it's shit, because none of it is true. Just keep being focused on what you're doing and the moment it's been done.
Tak.